Hello and welcome to the AI to Z Productivity Series. I am Nirisha from Lean Disruptor, and through this video series, I will be giving you a comprehensive guide to mastering today's most powerful AI tools. Now, whether you're a beginner or a tech savvy professional, you're about to discover how to maximize the potential of AI assistants and tools that you see today that can save you hours every day. Now, because this video series is targeted to the general audience and is made accessible to people even using the free plans, the focus will be more on utilizing the free features that are available to all, while also giving you a little sneak peek of the pro features of every tool. For the first video in this series, I will be focusing on ChatGPT. It is an advanced AI tool that is created by OpenAI and that's changing how you interact with technology. It was launched in late 2022 in November, and it uses this advanced language processing that understands your questions and also replies to you in a human tone. So, whether you need help writing an email or solving a math problem, learning a new concept, or even creating a whole website, ChatGPT can actually assist you with remarkable accuracy. Now, it's not perfect and it does not know everything, but it's revolutionizing how you access information and also get things done, actually. So, without any further ado, let's get to the walkthrough of ChatGPT. So, to get access to ChatGPT is very simple. You can go ahead and type chatgpt.com on your browser and you'll be presented with this screen. I'll go ahead and log in to the site. For this, you can also log in through any other method, but I'll be choosing to continue with Gmail. So here we are. Now, to start off, you can see this very simple phrase, what can I help you with? Now, let's take an example of a scenario. Let's say that you would want to get some ideas for your ed tech startup because you're interested in ed tech. Now, you can go ahead and say, give me a few ideas on ed tech startups. A very simple prompt here. Now, as you can see, it is starting to generate a few ideas on this prompt of ed tech startups. So now you read through all the ideas, and let's say that you're really interested in pursuing this idea here, which is skill-based micro-learning for professionals. Now, for example, if you want to create a blog post that you can share this idea with your friends and your colleagues, let's go ahead and do that. So here it is. So what is happening here, it is creating a separate window where it has the blog post. This window that you see here is called the canvas. You can also learn more about the canvas here, but for now, I'll just be seeing what it does. Now, this canvas feature is a relatively new feature for ChatGPT. Now, it is more like a word editor that you can go ahead and, edit things yourself as well. Now, there's a couple of things you can play around with in Canvas. For example, as I said, as a normal editor, you can also go ahead and change a few things yourself. For example, I would want to convert this to a name for my company, which is Skilly, for example. You can do that manually. Now, apart from that, you can also talk with ChatGPT regarding every section of the document. For example, if you would want to create just a catchy last phrase for your blog post, you can go ahead and ask ChatGPT to replace this with a catchy line to end the blog post. So here you can see how it has replaced it with a catchy line that I can end my blog post with. Now, if you've noticed, the prompt that I've given, that is the instruction that I've given to ChatGPT here, is an example of a zero-shot prompting, which means I've not really given it examples of what I would want the blog post to look like. It is just a simple first-level instruction. Now, I believe the magic of ChatGPT starts with the idea of few-shot prompting, where you can give examples of how exactly you would want your result to look like. So for now, what I'll do is I'll use a blog post that I wrote and ask ChatGPT to analyze its writing style so that it can copy that style to this current blog post. So as you can see, I've given the link of the blog post that I would want to copy the writing style of. So here you can see how it has analyzed this very blog post that I gave it. It has a reflective and a conversational tone. Now I'll ask it to edit the blog post accordingly based on your insights. So as you can see, the writing style has changed according to the blog post that I provided with. Now, this is an example of few-shot learning. Now, if you want to know what exactly ChatGPT has changed for you, you can go ahead and click on this Show Changes button. And similarly, you can also go ahead to the previous version or the current version, depending on your taste. Now, there's also a way where you can exit this canvas editing mode and just go to the main chat. You can go ahead and close this window. And if you want to go back to the canvas mode again, go ahead and click this Open Canvas button. So now that we've seen the text content creation capability of ChatGPT, let's move ahead with its coding abilities. For example, you'd want to create a very simple website homepage for this very startup that you created. Now, if you're someone who's not really tech savvy and does not know what kind of coding languages are used, you can just go ahead and ask GPT to use the most simplest coding languages. And here, I've asked it to create a simple homepage for this company website. Let's see what it does. As you can see, the canvas mode has turned on again. So here you can see that it has generated code in HTML and CSS to generate a simple homepage for your company website. Let's go ahead and copy this code to see if it actually works. You can go ahead and copy this code. So for now, I'm using a simple site called codepen.io, where you can just go ahead and check the code if it's working. And I go ahead and paste it here at the HTML section. So here you are. It has generated a simple homepage with the Welcome to Skilly board and with a few buttons here and there. Now this is just the starting of it. You can go ahead and ask it to change the code according to your style, your brand name, and so on. Now let's go back to the main chat. And let's say now you would want to be a little bit more creative and generate a logo for Skilly, your company. So this is the prompt I'll be using. Now let's see what ChatGPT generates. Here you have it. It has generated a logo for your company, Skilly, and very surprisingly, all the spellings here in the logo are actually correct, which is quite a good start. Now, as I mentioned, just with text, you can also modify the image by giving a specific prompt according to your choice. You can also go ahead and save this image with the download button. Now, the thing with images does not stop here. Let's say you would want to analyze an image that you have and get insights from it. So for now, I've used a simple image of a pie chart, and now I'll ask ChatGPT to analyze this image for me. So as you can see, it's not a simple image of a pie chart, but also a few other things there. So in the first part of the analysis, you can see how it has analyzed this pie chart by labeling the industry volume to a given valuation and so on. Secondly, it also shows the smartphone calculator, a red notebook, and so on. Now, it's not just images that ChatGPT can deal with. You can also go ahead and upload your Excel sheets, your CSV files, or any kind of data and ask ChatGPT to analyze it. For now, I'll go ahead and upload a customer review CSV file and ask ChatGPT to analyze it. So this file basically has two columns, that is the review column and the rating column. And this is a dummy data for customers reviewing my website, for example. So here I've asked ChatGPT to analyze this data, give me a sentiment classification for the reviews, and also plot a graph for the ratings. Let's see how it does. So as you can see, it has figured out the two columns that the dataset has, the review and the rating column, and it has also classified each review as positive, negative, and neutral. And here is a further breakdown of the reviews that it has found and the sentiments it has. What's interesting that it also gives you the code via which it has come up with this analysis. You can go ahead and copy this Python code and run it in your own editors. So now that we've seen how ChatGPT can help you with your content creation and data analysis, let's go a step forward and see how it can help you in your market research. For example, you would want to research about your global competitors and see what their pricing strategies are. For this, in the free feature of ChatGPT, you have a feature called Search the Web. So what this is basically doing, it is using additional data apart from the training data of ChatGPT, and it's using the data from the entire web to give you your answers, which are more accurate and more real time. So let's go ahead and do some research. So here I've asked about the pricing strategy for the global competitors of my edtech startup, which it remembers because of the memory feature that we turned on. And now it also lists down the pricing information in a comparative table. Let's go ahead and turn on the search the web feature and see what it does. So here are a couple of things that you can see in the response. There is obviously the comparative table for the top 5 competitors that it has analyzed and the pricing models as we asked it for. There is also something else here called the sources. Now, these are the sources that ChatGPT has used to come up with this very response. And you can go ahead and check each of the responses and which exact response has been generated by which exact source. Now, let us explore one more feature that the free ChatGPT has for us. You can see this feature called Think Before Responding. Now, this mode is usually useful when you have a lot of thinking or reasoning to do before you answer. Let's suppose you're trying to think of the right kind of pricing strategy for your startup based on your competitors. Let's ask ChatGPT to do exactly that. So you can turn on the reasoning mode here. So here I've asked ChatGPT to use the above information on my competitors and develop a pricing strategy for my product. Let's see how it does using the reasoning mode. So as you can see, it is reasoned for a couple of seconds here, and it gives you a detailed pricing strategy of what you can adopt with the reason why it chose a certain strategy and how to do it as well. At the end, it also gives you a brief description of how much your pricing could be and why. So now that we've experimented with a few free features that we see on the screen, let's try something very different. For now, I'll go ahead and create a new chat. For this, you can go ahead and click this button, create a new chat, and you can see that the previous chat you had is still here. And you can go back ahead and continue your conversation with it. For now, I'll create a new chat, and this would be for something else. Now for this section, I would want to focus on this part called Explore GPTs. While this was a pro feature a few months ago, this is now available for all the free users as well. And I think it is a very powerful tool. So this Explore GPTs feature is basically a marketplace for GPTs that other users have created for you. If you go ahead and click here, you can see a number of different GPT agents that you can use for free. Now, the whole idea of this marketplace is to not reinvent the wheel. Someone else has already perfected an AI agent for you that you can use without having to prompt it in the best way. So here you can see there are tools for writing, and you can use any of these tools for productivity and for research and analysis and so on. So let's say that you would want to search for a tool that can be used for your market research and competitive analysis. So here you can see that other users have created a number of tools for you to use. Let's go ahead and use this first one. So as you can see, a pop-up appears and you can just start the chat. So as you can see, a completely different setup appears with this particular AI tool that we've just selected. For now, let me just analyze the market conditions for the ed tech startup that I've just built. So as you can see, something new has happened. ChatGPT has given you 2 responses to choose from. Now, this is a way for ChatGPT to learn from your experience while talking to these tools. This is more of a feedback mechanism. Now, I'll go ahead and say that I prefer this response, and let's see what it's generated. It gives you the industry overview, the market drivers and trends, and so on. Now, this tool, as I said, has been made to do this market research, and it will be specifically used for that. Now, apart from this, you can use multiple other GPTs, and you can also see that it has created a new chat for this tool that you just started the conversation with. And it also appears here so that you can use these tools again and again. If you see, there's also a feature where you can create your own GPTs, just like these tools that you have. But this is more of a plus feature, which we'll talk about some other time. So far, so good. I hope you're able to catch up with the content generation, the image generation, data analysis, code generation, and even the market research GPTs that I've discussed so far. But now let's go to the things that are hidden somewhere. What if you would want your ChatGPT to know certain things about you so that it can respond in a particular way? That is, personalize ChatGPT for your own preferences. For this, you can go ahead and click on the Customize ChatGPT option that you see here. And when you open this, there are a couple of things that you can change. You can also mention what ChatGPT has to call you. For this, I will mention my name. And what do? You can give a brief background for yourself. And you can also specify what traits that you would want your ChatGPT to have. This is more like personality traits for the person that you're talking to or the AI that you're talking to. For example, you can say that you would want it to be encouraging, you would want it to be forward thinking, you would want it to be a bit skeptical also, and so on. You can use this accordingly as your taste. Lastly, you can also see that you can specify what you would want ChatGPT to know about you. You can go ahead and check the advanced features as well if you want to turn off or on certain features that we just used. And you can see you can enable this for new chats. When you turn it on, whatever you've said so far will not be used anymore for your chat. So it's pretty customizable. You can save it. And then what you notice is that any other time that you're talking to ChatGPT, it takes in this persona that you've just built for it and answers accordingly. One last thing that I forgot to mention about is this voice feature that you have. Apart from typing in text and your questions to ChatGPT, you can also go ahead and use the voice mode to record your voice and talk to it. And before I move on to the limitations of the free version of ChatGPT, I'd want to show you a bit about the models that ChatGPT currently has, even in the free version. For this, I'll be using an example of a customer persona interview. So here I have mentioned about Alex, who is my potential target customer, and their persona. I've asked ChatGPT to be Alex, and I will be interviewing it on their experience with micro learning platforms. Now, this is one example of how you can use ChatGPT for, mimicking your customer reviews and so on. So let's start the conversation. So here are a few things that I would want you to see apart from the response itself. It did adhere to my prompt of behaving as Alex, and now I could start my interview. But before that, you can go ahead and see this switch model feature here. Here it is a GPT-4o, which is the model that we've been using so far. But there's also other models depending on your use case. You can use the O3 Mini, which is really fast at advanced reasoning problems and so on. And there's also another one which is faster for everyday tasks. Now the 4o that we've been using, it does have a limit and it's usually reset after every 5 hours of use, as it has been mentioned in the official documentation of ChatGPT. But apart from that, we can also switch models so that you can see how the reasoning capabilities or, the everyday task capabilities change as we switch the model. For now, let's go ahead and go for GPT-4o Mini and see the changes. So as you can see, it restores the defaults and it replies according to the model that we have. And now if you would want to go back to your previous response, you can see this button here where you can see how the 4o responded to your very prompt. Now I can go ahead, continue my user interview and maybe ask Alex what it is like in his day-to-day life and how he uses micro-learning platforms. So as you can see, ChatGPT has replied as your target customer, Alex, and it gives you the answer for your question. So then you can continue your interview accordingly. Now there's one last detail that I would want you to focus on. If you go ahead on your settings, you can see a number of customization options. There is the theme, which is the light and the dark theme. There's also this option of showing the code whenever you're using the data analyst feature, which you can turn on. And there's also the language auto detection and so on. You can also go ahead and delete all of your chats. For now, I'll just skip that part. There's also the personalization function. So if you remember when we started off, we turned on the memory for ChatGPT. What is happening is ChatGPT as an assistant is remembering all of your conversations so that it can guide you accordingly with the help of this memory. But if you do not want ChatGPT to remember what we've talked about, you can go ahead and turn off this feature for now, and the memory cutoff will be until this moment. I'll just leave it on for my personal preferences. You can go ahead and change the speech. And there's one last thing about data controls. Now, I also mentioned how ChatGPT is not perfect and it is improving day by day with the help of your conversations. But for example, you would not want to use your data and your conversations for retraining the model and improving the model for everyone. You can turn off this feature. Now, there are always questions about how much can you use these features from the ChatGPT's free tier. As I said, there are also Plus, Pro, and Enterprise plans available. But for now, you can check out this blog where it details what exactly can you do and how much can you use a feature in the free plan. For example, there are things on rate limits of how many messages can you send on the GPT-4o model that we just saw, and how long does it take to reset this very limit. For this, it is just 5 hours, which is pretty doable. Apart from that, it also details how many images can you create in the free tier and also how many files you can upload. Also, regarding the custom GPTs that we see, it is connected to the GPT-4o model that is in use. Once the GPT-4o model limit is reached, you will also not have access to any custom GPTs, and it resets according to your GPT-4o model.